Welcome to Alpha Insights. I'm Nate. Today we're unpacking a mixed day for technology. Regulation on one hand, product wins, and big funding on the other. Joining me is Ryan, an investment advisor who helps make sense of the market noise. Remember, if you have questions as we go, you can ask us at stockalpha.ai.
Thanks for having me, Nate. Lots to cover. And honestly, I was a bit surprised by this one.
Okay, Ryan, big picture first. The headlines felt kind of contradictory today. How would you sum up what happened?
So, the real question here is how to balance near-term policy and legal risk against longer-term product adoption. On the risk side, two House committees put probes on the table looking at how companies are using Chinese AI models. At the same time, you had Google rolling out pragmatic features in Gemini and Meta quietly testing crypto payouts. And then there was a startup hitting a strong private valuation. All of it together makes for mixed signals. Right.
Walk me through the regulatory thread first. What should listeners be watching?
Two House panels are asking questions about model sourcing and cross-border data flows, and they sent inquiries to companies including Airbnb and the maker of Cursor, Anysphere. I mean, when you look at the data, probes like these create headline risk. They can lead to public hearings, new disclosure expectations, and potentially higher compliance costs if regulators push for clearer provenance of models. That all sounds abstract, but for firms relying on foreign models, it could change how they document training data and vendor relationships.
Interesting.
On the product side, Google took a very practical step. Gemini can now output ready-to-share files, PDFs, Word, Excel, Google Docs, plain text, even Markdown.
That's the kind of feature that makes AI feel useful in day-to-day work, right?
Exactly. Exporting into standard file formats lowers the friction for teams to use an AI assistant in workflow. Google Photos also added an AI wardrobe feature, which is another example of generative models moving into consumer features. Analysts note these steps push AI from novelty toward practical utility, but they also raise fresh data governance questions.
And Meta popped up in the news too, but quietly.
Yeah. Meta started pilot payouts in USDC stablecoin on Solana and Polygon for creators in Colombia and the Philippines. It's a measured re-entry into crypto-style payouts. So, the real question here is whether it stays a limited pilot or scales based on regulatory feedback and actual user uptake.
Short reactions.
Then, on the startup front, Parallel Web Systems raised $100 million in a round that pushed its valuation to $2 billion. That tells you venture interest in agent tooling and infrastructure is still strong. Investors are clearly chasing opportunities in AI agent stacks.
It's like the market wants to build the plumbing for future AI apps.
Right. Meanwhile, consumer hardware reviews surfaced today. Comparisons among Samsung, Motorola, HP, and Dell. Those pieces matter because they can influence seasonal buying decisions and inventory for device makers.
So for listeners who are thinking about how this affects portfolios, what are the practical implications without getting into specific stock calls?
Analysts note a few points. 1. Regulatory headlines can drive short-term volatility, especially for firms tied to cross-border AI models. 2. Product improvements that reduce friction, like native file export, are a real adoption catalyst and are worth watching as a signal of longer-term revenue opportunity. 3. Venture activity around agent tooling suggests consolidation and M&A could pick up in the next 6 to 12 months.
What are the immediate catalysts to keep an eye on?
First, whether those committee probes lead to public hearings or formal enforcement. Second, how revelations from the Musk versus Altman trial influence views on governance and leadership in AI. Third, watch rollouts like Canonical's Ubuntu adding AI features. User pushback there is an early warning about adoption friction and privacy complaints. And finally, any official statements from the companies involved, Airbnb, Anysphere, Google, and Meta, will matter.
Right. And risk factors?
Regulatory escalation, litigation fallout from high-profile trials, and user or developer backlash are the headline risks. How firms respond could determine winners and losers over the next 6 to 12 months. That's not investment advice, just what the market signals are suggesting.
Short reactions. Right.
To wrap up, and to keep this practical, watch official disclosures, trial exhibits, and committee actions. Track product adoption metrics where available, and monitor funding chatter for signs of consolidation.
Great. Before we go, give our listeners 2 or 3 quick takeaways they can remember.
Sure. 1. Regulatory and legal headlines are the dominant short-term risk, so expect volatility around companies tied to cross-border AI models. 2. Product moves like Google's file exports show AI adoption is progressing, which supports longer-term opportunity. 3. Funding momentum in agent tooling signals continued investor appetite, but adoption and monetization will be gradual and selective.
Excellent. If you have questions about anything we discussed today, you can ask us directly at stockalpha.ai. We answer listener questions live. And for more market insights, head over to stockalpha.ai. Thanks for joining, Ryan.
Thanks, Nate. Always good to dig into the nuance.